name is Marliene Bastien. Zillions years ago, I received a call from someone from Women's Fund of Miami-Dade County. She introduced herself as Fran Katz. She heard about the organization that I founded and that I was leading at that time, Femmes Haïtiennes de Miami, Haitian Women of Miami. She wanted to know more about FEM, about our goals and objectives, and she also wanted to know how the Women's Fund could be of assistance. She invited me to a meeting downtown. I don't quite remember the exact address, but I remember that it was downtown, somewhere in downtown Miami, in a fancy office. And then we sat down and I told her about FEM. FEM's mission, which was to empower Haitian women and to give them the tools so that they can transform their lives financially, socially, and politically. The mission seemed to appeal to her, and then she did indicate at that time that it was in alignment, that FEM's mission was much in alignment with the Women's Fund's goal, which was also to empower women and to create a space for women to be at the table when decisions are made. Because when women are empowered, when women are sitting in spaces where decisions are made, and when we invest in women, the family, the community, the village, the country benefits not the next day, not the next month, not the next year. When we invest in women, the family benefits instantly. Thus, and there started a long-term relationship with the Women Funds, which continues till today. The Women's Funds, around circa 1995, invited us, and the next year, they gave us our first ever grant. The reason why the Women's Fund decided to give us the grant was because we discussed the plight of Haitian women, the fact that many of them could not find employment in the formal sector. And when I met with Fran, and we met often, not only to discuss FEM, but also at times other organizations with similar goals and who were in alignment with each other were invited regularly at that time, regularly. I don't remember if it was monthly or bi-weekly, but I do recall that we met often to discuss the Women's Fund's goal, to give us update about what was going on, about news that were important to the organization, to our community, and also to hear about what we were doing. These were regular meetings. And at those meetings, I did discuss with the Women's Fund the fact that many Haitian women have had a long-term experience when they were in their native Haiti. And even those who did not have formal education had business skills. And I discussed my intention to find a way to give them the resources so that they could continue to be involved in entrepreneurship, small businesses, and then to put the skill sets that they've acquired in their native land here to start small businesses, since many of them could not have employment, could not obtain employment in the private sector or public sector. And then that's how in 1996, Femmes Haïtiennes in Miami, at the time, Haitian Women of Miami, whose mission, as I indicated, was to empower Haitian women and others, we received the first $2,000 from the Women's Fund, and there started a long-term relationship, which I am happy to say continues till today. Now, what is about our collective mission that most resonates with me? The collective mission that resonated with me at that time was women empowerment. I grew up in Haiti. As a little girl, I can see in my mind's eye, I can see myself standing in front of a market in Haiti. My house, my ancestral home, is located in a village called Pont-Benoit. And it faces directly the market. And as a little girl, I can still see me in my mind's eye, in my little pink panty, watching the market. And I can still remember, I can still see it in my mind's eyes today, the women coming down the mountain very early in the morning. And I've always been an early riser. Till today, I wake up early. My natural clock wakes me up early every morning between 5 and 5:30 a.m. Rain or shine, whether I went to bed late or early, my natural clock wakes me up at the same time. And I take that from my father, who's also an early riser. And then often, as a little girl, I would wake up early while everybody else is sleeping, and I would watch the women with intent coming down. And I can still see them. Sometimes they are pregnant. They are holding a toddler in their arm. They have 1 or 2 children holding on their skirts. And then they have balanced on their head the basket full of multiple vegetable, fruits, whatever where that they were going to sell at the market that day. And I can still see them. And because the road was so narrow, they would be filing in file, one after the other, coming down and then making their way in the market. And I would observe them at the market. Most of the people at the market were women, and there they were doing everything. They were selling mangoes, rice, sugar, coffee. They were cleaning the fish to sell them. Some were combing the hair of the children. They were taking care of the children. Some were feeding the children. And I realized that the women were the soul of the market. The women were the soul of the market. They did everything. They were selling, they were cooking, they were taking care of their children. They were giving food to their common law husband or loved one. And then I also witnessed something else. Sometimes there would be fight among them because some of them would share the same husband or common law husband, and there would be fights. And then the husband, for one reason or the other, and I must specify that the fights were not always about men. The fights and discussions could be about anything, about the fact that they didn't have enough money that day to pay the taxes. And then someone would come with a baton. It could be the Totomakuts, which were goons of the dictatorships at the time, because I grew up under the Duvalier dictatorship, which used the worst kind of repression against the Haitian people. The Haitians had no rights. You could be arrested for any reason. You could be beaten for any reasons. And at times, my parents, who were both educators and farmers, they were called to save people from beatings and from killings, because you could be killed for any reason under the dictatorship. And then to come back to the story, either the boyfriend or the husband would come with a baton, or the tonton Makut, and then beat the women. And in my young mind at that time, I thought that was so unfair, because the women were the soul of the market. They were the ones there doing everything, working so hard, and then anyone could come from wherever and start beating them. Sometimes they would be talking and have discussions, and they would come and indiscriminately start beating on them, and they would scatter and cries and then running and going back to their stands or to tend to their baskets. And as a little girl, I thought that was so unfair. And then I guess that's why, after I came here in 1981, over 40 years ago, I called the organization Femme Haitienne in Miami at the time. Now the name is Family Action Network Movement, because since then, we've expanded our reach to serve every constituent, every member, every resident in Miami-Dade County. So we went on to name change. We went to a 3-5-year process to change the name. But at the time, it was Femme Haitienne in Miami, Haitian Women of Miami. And we chose that name because we wanted to show that when we invest in women, the family, the community benefits instantly. And this reality, this belief was shared by the Women's Fund. And as a matter of fact, one of the Women's Fund's objective was to invest in women and to create spaces where women could partake in the decision-making processes. Because in countries where women can partake equally in the decision-making processes, these countries are further advanced, further ahead, and they have policies that invest in women, that invest in families, because as the Women's Fund, we believe, FEM believes, because we kept the acronym. At the time, it was Femme Haitienne in Miami, Haitian Women of Miami, but now it is still FEM, Family Action Network Movement, Family Action Network Movement, and FEM means women in Creole. We wanted to keep that acronym. It took us a while, 3 to 5 years, but we did it. So to end this, what is about our collective mission that resonates with me? It's the idea that women are the backbone of every society. And then we cannot aspire to world peace, which we desire, until the complete emancipation and investment and empowerment of women worldwide. And I believe that this is what really attracted me. This is the collective mission that we share, the empowerment of women and the idea that women are the backbone of our society, of our economy, and that we needed to create spaces where women can partake equally in the decision-making processes, because when they do, and when we invest in them, the community, the country benefits. Now, what anecdote stands out for you personally, for me personally, about the impact of the Women's Fund? The anecdote that stands out to me personally is when I received the $2,000. And then I was supposed to come back to give a report as to how I spent the $4,000. $4,000. What did I do with it? Based on this anecdote, based on the fact that when we invest in women, and it's been proven in some African countries, villages, that they give women only a few dollars, and then they make it work. And then with those few dollars, that they are able to feed their family, they were able to send the children to school. And then based on that fact, I used the $2,000 to give 4 women $500 each. And when I came to report with pictures showing how the women and used the money, I bought pictures. As a matter of fact, I took some of the women with me, and they came with some of the basket that they put together. Beautiful baskets. One came with a sample of the food that she's cooking. And then the other one, I don't remember what the embroidery that she did. And then one staff of the Women's Fund, I don't remember who exactly, said, "Marliene, this is the most beautiful thing. This is the most beautiful things that I've ever seen. When you told us that you were going to use the $2,000, you were going to put the $2,000 to good use, we didn't have any idea of what exactly that you were going to do. But these $2,000 are the best investment that we've ever made. And guess what? Looking at FAM today, this $2,000 was the first ever grant that FAM received in 1996. Now, fast forward to 2022, within FAM is now a nationally recognized, a globally recognized institution with over $2 million annual budget. FAM is recognized as probably one of the few institutions in the nation providing wraparound services to families to strengthen them, because strong families make strong communities, while at the same time giving them the tools to organize themselves, to contribute to their own empowerment and transformation. And in the words of the Miami Herald, which endorsed me in the race for the Miami-Dade County Commission District 2, FAM has been giving a hand up versus a handout to over 10,000 families a year. What does that tell us? That tells us that Women's Fund of Miami-Dade County, that tells us that Women's Funds of Miami-Dade County's investment, $2,000 returned on their investment, has made miracles, small miracles, big miracles for thousands and thousands of families over the course of 30 long years. Let me highlight the fact before I get to the next question. Let me highlight the fact that the Women's Fund at that time didn't take into consideration that we were a volunteer-led organization without any track record. Let that sink. Let that sink a little bit. They didn't take into consideration the fact that Femmes Haïtiennes in Miami, Haitian Women of Miami, was a volunteer-led organization led by a Black woman. They trusted us to do the right thing, and then they invested in us. Let that sink. Let that sink a bit. And then they knew that we were going to do the right thing. They believed in us. And that's what small organization, small women-led organizations need. And the Women's Fund of Miami-Dade County is the only organization that trusted us and believed in us at the time. They invested in us because they saw the potential. And then look what FARM has done. FARM is probably the most awarded institution in the state of Florida. I and the institution have gotten awards after awards. Me personally, yeah, Ms. Women of the Year. Essence magazine recognized me as one of the most powerful women in the world, one of the 35 most powerful women in the world. Ms. Magazine gave me the Women's of the Year award in 2000. And we were able to get all this recognition because we had an entity like the Women's Fund that believed in us and invested in us. And the Human Rights Award from Amnesty International, Ford Foundation's Leadership for a Better World Award, you name it, we've gotten it. Awards after awards after awards. And then most importantly, we've made a local, national, and global impact. And because of this initial investment and trust that the Women's Fund put in us, we've had delegations from all over the world, from Africa, from Asia, from Europe, to come to look at our model, which provides wraparound services to strengthen families and gives them the tool to contribute to their own empowerment and transformation. There lies the power of an institution like the Women's Fund, and then their mission to invest in women and to give them the space to shine, the space to shine and thrive. Now, let's see the next question. What does being a part of your Women's Fund mean to you personally? Do you love the human stories, the feeling of finding your tribe of people who care, keeping up the pressure for positive change? Do I love that? This is my story. This is the Women's Fund story, is my story. And what I like most about the Women's Fund is that over the years, when we have this beautiful yearly event in April, where we invite women to dig deep in their purses to invest in women, to invest so that the Women's Fund can invest in other women who are less resourced. I don't like to use the word poor because no one is really poor. We have other women and other people, other folks who have less resources than others. And then because the Women's Fund invested in me, and then every year when they have the best event that I love to go to, where 1,000 people, for the most part, influential women come together to gather the funds to invest in other women who are less resourced, who have less resources. They always make it a point to invite me and other women they've invested in to share our stories. This is, my friends, so powerful, because by doing this, the Women Fund is encouraging others to also look at the potential from other women, young and old. And I love that because we always have, when I say with the Women's Fund, when I say we, I believe that I'm part of the Women's Fund because I'm a product of the Women's Fund. When we, the Women's Fund, and invest young women, we are building the new generations of leaders, of young leaders. And that's one way for the Women's Fund to remain in perpetuity. And that's my dream. That's my goal because of my story, because of how the Women's Fund invested in me. And then because of this initial investment, and because of their commitment to continue to uplift me, to always invite me to create a space, to have me with the women they've invested in, young and old, lined up in such a synchronized and well-organized event to come up to the stage and share our stories. There lies the power. There lies the power of the Women's Fund. And that's why my dream, my goal, my hope is that the Women Funds lives and continues to make such an impact in perpetuity, because every community deserves a Women's Fund. Every community deserves a Women's Fund. Look at us now. Look at Family Action Network movement. I am a clear example of what a little investment of how far a little investment can go. I am this example. I am among the best tribe. I am a member of the most compassionate village. I am a member of the most compassionate village, which is the Women's Fund of Miami-Dade County. Last one. What is my vision for the Women's Fund in upcoming years? And what results would you like to see? It seems to me that I've already responded to it, but let me use this space, right, to say, to talk to you about where we are today. Remember, Femmes Haitiennes in Miami, Haitian Women of Miami, went through a 3-5-year process to change the name. Now it is Family Action Network Movement, whose mission is an alignment with the Women's Fund. Our mission is to empower families, mainly the women among us, and then to give them the tools to contribute to their own transformation and empowerment. Our vision is so aligned with the Women's Fund. And 30 years later, we are proud to say that we are accomplishing our missions. We serve 10,000 families a year. We provide them with services that include access to mental health, which is important to us women. We women, we have a tendency to invest in everyone else. We sacrifice ourselves every day. We take care of everyone else, and oftentimes we do not take care of ourselves. And as the Women's Fund always, showed us and taught us, in order for us to help others, we have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of both our physical and our mental health. That's why over the course of the years, sometimes the Women's Fund organizes forums about, self-care and mental health. And FUM provides access to counseling, crisis counseling, mental health, crisis intervention, domestic violence intervention, access to healthcare, which is a basic human right, access to affordable housing, which is a basic human right. FUM has an adult education center where we teach men and women how to read and write, and then we give them the tools to get better jobs so that they can earn a livable wage. Because if we don't earn a livable wage, we will not be able to care for our families. So the Adult Education Center has a nationally winning program that teaches people how to read and write in 90 days. And then we give them the computer skills, the technical skills to better themselves. We also have a full-fledged immigration clinic and a citizenship program where we now help not only Haitian families, but other immigrants from all over the world, from Central America, from Africa, to become US citizens so that they can contribute to our great democracy, because it is our bedrock belief that our democracy is stronger with a continuously involved and engaged citizenry. Our democracy is stronger with a consistently engaged citizenry. And at FUM, not only that we provide these wraparound services that I mentioned, but we also organize around these issues. We also have a very strong and powerful civic education program where we put boots on the ground to encourage people to vote. In 2020, Faith Florida gave us the resources to organize all 3 souls to the polls in our communities, where we get out the vote. And it doesn't matter which party you are from, your vote matters for us at FAM, Family Action Network Movement. We want you to go out and vote, because whatever party you represent, whatever party you belong to, your vote matters. And I repeat again, it is our bedrock belief that our democracy is stronger with a continuously, consistently engaged citizenry, constituency. And then in 2020, we really did it. We came out strong by putting boots on the ground to get out the vote in Miami, in Fort Lauderdale, in West Palm Beach, in Tampa, in Orlando. We did it. FAM, Family Action Network Movement, is a one-stop center in the heart of Little Haiti that provides these wraparound services and at the same time give the tools to our members to contribute to their own transformation and empowerment. And at the same time, we have a very strong civic education program where we get out the votes so that everyone, every voter can get out and exercise the sacred, one of the most sacred rights to vote. It is sad that efforts are being made, not only in the state of Florida, but in other states to suppress the vote. However, we do know that our democracy is stronger with an engaged constituency. My vision for the Women's Fund is to have the resources to continue to invest in women like me, Black, Brown, Hispanic, Anglo women. No matter where you belong, no matter which group you belong to, no matter which ethnicity you belong to, no matter which sexual orientation, no matter which religion, my vision for the Women's Fund is to continue to have the funds and the resources to invest in women so that we can create the space for every woman, young and old, to contribute to their own transformation and empowerment. My vision for the Women's Fund is to continue to create and open spaces where every woman has a chance to lift up herself, where every woman can transform her reality, where every woman can be empowered. My vision for the Women's Fund is to continue to have the funds and the resources to continue to build villages where everyone matters, where every voice matters. My vision for the Women's Fund is to have the funds and the resources to build villages around Miami-Dade County and possibly beyond, so that every person, every member of the village has the chance to make it. Every voice in the village is amplified to be transformed into a chorus and collective voices for women in Miami-Dade County and women everywhere to shine, for women everywhere to be able to fight, for women everywhere to be able to take care of their families, for women everywhere to have a voice, for women everywhere to have a voice when decisions are being made, when women are able to contribute equally in decision-making processes, socially, politically, economically, and otherwise, the families benefit instantly, the community benefits instantly, the nations benefit instantly. That is why my vision is that the Women's Fund continues to thrive and continues to invest in women like me so that we can have better, stronger communities and a world of peace. We can continue to build a world of peace. World peace is not possible without the full emancipation and empowerment of women worldwide. Thank you for giving me the space to share my story. Merci en pile pour être nou bon espace pour partager histoire moi. Muchísimas gracias por la oportunidad. Gracias por la oportunidad de hablar de mi historia con Women's Fund. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you. Merci.